Welcome to Intuitive Flow, hosted by me, Michaela Wallet, an intuitive who uses neuroscience to reprogram your subconscious and trained intuition to get to the root cause of your problems to help you create a life that you don't need a vacation from. You've landed in the place you need to be to hear the no bullshit truth about why you keep repeating the same love and money patterns and how to finally break them. This podcast is here to wake you up. It's time to stop living as the watered down version of yourself and step unapologetically into the woman you came here to be. The woman who trusts herself deeply, holds powerful standards, and naturally attracts the love, money, and life she desires. Let's flow. Hey guys, welcome back to Intuitive Flow with Michaela Wallet. In today's episode, we are going to have a little chit chat about my wedding and honeymoon, which it's crazy. I haven't even shared really anything with you guys, but I experienced a couple of reflections that I really thought would be fun, so fun to break down for you guys, because there were two that really stuck out and really kind of rocked me after diving deep into each one of them. So I figured if I experienced them and then I worked through them, they definitely will help you guys in some way, shape, form. So let's go ahead and get into the reflections I experienced. Just one from each event. So one from my wedding and one from my honeymoon. Okay. Starting off with with the wedding. First of all, our wedding was May 23rd of 2026. And you guys, oh my gosh, it was the best day of my life. I have no regrets. It was so worth it. All of the stress, all of the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into planning a wedding of, 150 people. It was so worth it. I had so much fun. The experience was a 12 out of 10. Couldn't recommend it more. I loved our wedding and I love looking back on all the photos. The video that we got, if you haven't seen that, it's on my Instagram. You guys can check out the day. It was just such an incredible experience, you guys. And I feel so blessed to have been able to experience that kind of wedding. And that was something that I never ever thought was going to be possible for myself. So the fact that I was able to pull it off is just if I was to tell my even 27-year-old self that this was my reality, she would literally be floored. Her jaw would be on the floor. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so I want to get into the reflection that I experienced. First of all, the day went so perfect. Bryson and I stayed apart for the night before, and my sisters and my matron of honor, Kendra, stayed at my house or our house the night before, and then Bryson stayed at his parents' house with the boys, with his groomsmen. The next morning we get up, we're getting ready. I'm at the venue by 10 a.m., 9:30, 10 a.m. Just getting prepped, getting ready, getting everything situated. Hair and makeup was incredible. The whole experience was just so much freaking fun. I will say that one thing, actually this might be another reflection too that I'm just now realizing, is since I'm going through it, is that my hair and makeup lady, oh my gosh, the whole team was absolutely incredible. But what was happening when I was sitting in that chair getting ready, and obviously there's just so much going on and so much around you, and you're sitting there and you're stuck in a chair, obviously getting your hair and your makeup done. And I was in that chair for what felt like a million years. Meanwhile, everyone else is in and out of their chairs and pretty relatively quick. But obviously, I'm the bride. I know there's extra time and attention that goes into my look, which like I said, flawless. Everything came out so amazing, and I'm stoked on the way that everything turned out, and I have no regrets. But what I was experiencing when I was sitting in that chair was just like, I wanted to get out of the chair. Like I wanted to be done. It got, I think, to point to like hour 2, and I was just over it. I was ready to like start the day, get out of the chair, move the energy around because I felt like all of the energy just kind of like, and like it came to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna please stop talking. I had to tell my makeup artist, please stop talking to me because I am going to just do a lot of energy work right now to get my energy right because I feel like it's just being there's a lot going on right now. And she's like, oh yeah, no worries. Like totally, here you go. Take your time, whatever you need to do. And that was like one of the things that I really loved about her was like, even in my trial, she was so open to everything that I, do and was talking about. And she like even was like chat, like asking me questions and stuff. And she was like super interested in what I do. And obviously, I used my intuition to choose like every single vendor, which was so, it made wedding planning so much easier. Like, I think that I made a podcast episode about that, of just like how I used my intuition to plan my wedding and how it just made everything so much easier. But I used my intuition to intuitively gauge, like on a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being like the best and like most satisfying. And I kind of went down a whole list of questions that I had for each vendor. But I specifically obviously did this also for my hair and makeup lady. And she was just amazing. Like, cannot recommend her enough. It was cheek to cheek artistry. She works in the, Thousand Oaks, Ventura County area, or just Ventura County area. She works here. So can't recommend her enough. But I did my energy work and stuff, but I was just feeling very like overwhelmed. But in the moment, I felt overwhelmed. I know that that was just because I was feeling everyone else's energy. And that's what happens when like you don't know how, like if I didn't know how to protect my own energy and to like cleanse and clear my own energy and protect myself from other people's energy, which I hadn't done in that morning. That's why I was like, okay, I need to take this time to like, please stop talking to me so that I can meditate and like do my energy work, because I didn't get to in the morning because I immediately woke up at 6 and had like a million things to fucking do. And so as soon as I started feeling that way in the chair, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do my energy work right now really quickly. And as soon as I did, I felt so much better. So I don't really know if there's a reflection there. Yeah, no, that wasn't a reflection. That was just me feeling the energy and feeling like of overwhelm from everyone else. And then being able to clear and cleanse that energy was like, it healed it. It was good. But the reflection, okay, so I get ready, we take photos. Bryson and I do our first touch. We do the ceremony. We have the, happy hour, whatever. And then we do the reception. And everything was flawless. Everything was so great. Like the reception was absolutely incredible. I have no notes. I did say fuck one time, but like, it's me. Oops. I said, I was like, my bad. It slipped. I almost made it the whole day without saying it, but one of them slipped. So it is what it is. But other than that, like everything went so smoothly until I think I've talked about this in the pod, but I'll kind of like revisit it. Obviously, I did not have my dad walk me down the aisle. Well, I guess not obviously if you're new here. Hi, welcome. But I did not have my dad walk me down the aisle because I intuitively did not feel like personally, I didn't feel like he earned the right to do that. And intuitively, like I knew that it wasn't going to feel authentic, and it didn't feel like I wouldn't be happy with my decision. Like when I intuitively looked in, I knew that I wouldn't be 100% like stoked on my decision because it would feel almost like fake. Okay. So I chose not to do that. I had my grandpa walk me down the aisle, my mom's dad walk me down the aisle. And then obviously when it comes to the reception, I didn't do a father-daughter dance either. I did a mother-daughter dance. I honored my mom because my mom is the one who raised me. My dad really wasn't there. And when he was there, he wasn't like emotionally available. So it was just, the relationship that I have with my dad and is just so different. So I chose not to really involve him in my wedding day. And I have no regrets. And that's also something that I intuitively like tested. Like, is there any part of me that will regret not involving him in the wedding? And it's like right now, or a year from now, or 5 years from now. And it was all just coming, like, really hitting really, really low, like on a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being like the most amount of regret. It was only hitting at like 33% like regret. And I can live with that. I was like, it's fine. So I am kind of feeling that, but then also I come back to this feeling of like like I want to be as authentic to myself and true to myself as possible. And also I am not going to do something just because I feel bad for that person. Obviously, I am I've recovered from this, but like there's a past version of myself who would have done the father-daughter dance, who would have let him walk me down the aisle simply because I felt bad for him, or like I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But the reality of the situation is that he hurt my feelings like a lot, throughout my entire life, over and over and over and over again. No matter how many times I forgave him and gave him more chances, more opportunities to like be a dad, right? It just didn't happen. And so I feel like the wedding day was just a smidge, like a little taste, just a taste of what I experienced from him my entire life, which is feeling left out, right? Not feeling like I was a part of his life. And he made it very, apparent that there's so many things that I can, there's a rabbit hole I can go down there, but I won't. We'll keep it on point. So the point is, I didn't involve him. Okay. Now, my sister is extremely fucking intuitive. Like, she is so intuitive. If she honed in on her intuition, she's very similar to me. Like, I have always been intuitive. She's always intuitive, but like I've taken my intuition and I've like trained it obviously over the last 4 years. She hasn't trained her intuition. So, but it's still really good. But there's also a caveat to that, which is like when you are highly empathetic and an intuitive, you're very in tune and like catch on to other people's emotions and feelings very fast. And obviously my sister was sitting at the table that my dad and my stepmom were sitting at. And I know that she was feeling kind of bad for him because I could tell, was not like, he felt like shit. And honestly, rightfully fucking so. Like, sorry, like not sorry. You did it to yourself, man. So for her to see that, obviously she has a very different relationship. This is my dad's daughter with my stepmom, who, they've been together since I was like 4. So she obviously has a different relationship with him than I do. And I don't think that she'll ever fully understand, obviously, like the difference in how I've felt growing up being in the situation that I was in, which is just coming from a family where my parents were never together. My dad started a family, without me, and very much so like didn't involve me in a whole lot of things and activities and family pictures and family vacations and camping trips and family parties and all the things that like I definitely should have been fucking involved in, like he didn't involve me in. And so I don't think that she'll ever comprehend how that made me feel. So for her to see him though feel that way and to see it happen right in front of her eyes obviously hurt her, and she was feeling his energy. And probably also my stepmom's energy, because I was honoring my mom, I was honoring my grandma. I gave them both pieces of my bouquet, and I said a little speech to them, whereas I didn't do that for my stepmom. Same fucking reason. So with that being said, she was probably feeling I know she was feeling their energy. The time comes where like all of the speeches are done, all of the dancing is done. And she comes running up to me while like everyone's, I'm running up into the dance floor. Everyone's coming and running up into the dance floor. The dance floor was packed all fucking night. It was bitching. But, and she comes running up to me and she's like, Sissy, you have to dance with dad. Like, please, no, like dance with dad. And I was like, Ella, don't make me do things that I don't want to do, you know? And it wasn't in, and then I just moved on, and she was pissed, obviously, like she's hurt. And I don't like hurting people, but like I'm also not going to cross a boundary or like feel sorry for a decision that I made and that I'm confident in, you know? So it was definitely hard, but at the same time, like I knew that I made the right decision, and it wasn't a decision that was made lightly. It was a decision that was very thought out and that I took a lot of time to decide on, and that I did go back and forth on, but ultimately decided to go with what I felt was truest to myself and how I felt. Despite all of the healing that I've done and all of the forgiving that I've done, I don't need to go above and beyond and pretend like the relationship I have with my dad is something that it absolutely is fucking not. You know what I'm saying? And I'm definitely not going to do that to people please and to make other people happy. That's just not something that I do anymore. All right, I have to interrupt this episode to chat with you guys about my new offer, Devoted. You are done being the almost girl. Almost chosen, almost confident, almost happy. You've journaled, manifested, healed, but somehow you keep ending up in the same cycles of almost relationships, almost money, and almost self-love. This is your turning point. A season of raising your standards, choosing yourself first, and finally stepping into the identity you've been scripting about for years. Whether you're stuck in situationships, coming out of a breakup, or recovering from divorce, Devoted is the place where you stop settling and finally start living as the woman who has it all. The truth, it was never about them. The men, the money, the opportunities that never quite landed, they were all reflections of how you'd been abandoning yourself. And when you finally choose you, everything else rises to meet you. Devoted. 13 weeks devoted to embodying the hot, rich, and in love version of yourself. You'll heal your self-image, master your emotions, trust your intuition, and become the woman who is hot, rich, and fully in love with her life. You'll stop chasing love, money, or validation and start magnetizing it. Imagine waking up 90 days from now. You wake up next to a man who chooses you fully, plans the weekend, and shows up without you begging. You open your bank app and see $20,347 in savings, bills on autopay, and invoices paid with ease. You catch your reflection in jeans you once hated, actually love what you see, and think to yourself, damn, my ex really fucked up. You walk into dinner and the room shifts, people notice, ask what changed, and can feel your energy. You feel steady in love, confident in money, and free in how you spend your time. You realize the version of you who settled for crumbs is gone. Nothing beneath your standards even gets close. You make decisions with certainty because you trust yourself completely. That is the energy of a devoted woman. If you are ready to stop settling and finally live as the woman who has it all, join Devoted. The link is in the show notes below. This is your time to bloom. All right, let's get back into today's episode. The reflection here, though, was something that I really didn't expect at all, because in that moment, I did get triggered because I felt like she was trying to make it about him when it wasn't about him. It was about like Bryson and I's union and our special day. And so obviously when we have reflections like that, so if you're new here, a reflection is it's basically when you have any sort of emotion, like you're triggered by something that makes you feel a certain way. And it's a gift and opportunity from our from our higher self that shows us where our energy is not in alignment with what we say that we want. So reflections happen all of the time. And just because it doesn't matter how long you've been in this work, I've been in this work for 4 years now, right? 2022, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 years. Holy shit. And I'm not exempt to reflections. Like they still happen, especially with bigger events like this. Like something is bound to happen. I'm just happy that it was something so little and something that like nobody else really could have even known about. You know what I'm saying? So when this happened, I felt like I said, she was trying to make it about my dad, and it's not about my dad. It's about Bryson and I and our union and our happiness for the day, not about his happiness. So I looked at her and I said, don't make me do things that I don't want to do. And then I was like, I clocked it and I was like, okay, that's a reflection that I'm going to have to, because obviously I was triggered. If I was straight up with her, I said, no. I said, no, don't make me do things that I don't want to do. And then I like ignored her and continued to dance with everybody. So she kind of like turned around and like walked the other way, something that I haven't even talked to her about. Anyways, I digress. So when this all was going down, I was like, okay, I'm clocking this. I'm going to come back to this later. So I come back to this. Okay. And I'm like, when it comes to reflections in the form of people, because we can get reflections in many different forms, this was a reflection in a person, right? Like my sister was reflecting an emotional imbalance that I had within my creator field. So I had to figure out, okay, what's the reflection here? What is she trying to show me? What is my higher self trying to communicate with me? And when it comes to reflection with people, you always want to ask yourself, how do you feel like they are being? How do you feel like they are being? Not how are they making you feel, but how do you make, oh my God, how do you feel like they are being? And so when I asked, that's why I say I feel like she was being, like she was trying to make it about him when really it wasn't about him, it was about us. And then I go, okay, where in my life am I making something about me when it's really not about me? It's about something else. Oof. Oof, that's a deep fucking question. And I had to do some digging, you guys. I had to do some digging. And I came across something really fucking awesome, as we always do when it comes to reflections. It just never gets old. All right. So I found that I was, of course, this is in my career vocation area of life. So we have 8 areas of life. So first thing you want to do is like, in what area of life am I making something about myself and not about like the bigger picture? And mind you, this is not ever like the ultimate truth. This is just like what you've got going on in your creator field that needs to be purged. It's just a limiting belief. Anything limiting is not source truth. It is not from your higher self. It is not from God. It is not from source. It is from dark forces. It is from conditioning. It is from it's their thoughts that are not your own. Okay. So you have to remember that when you are digging this shit up, because you don't want to make it mean anything about you. So I want to preface this by saying that. So what I was doing, and I think that every entrepreneur honestly goes through this, but I kind of went through the ringer when it came to planning the wedding, paying for the wedding, seeing a lot of fucking money go out in the month of May for this wedding, for my business, for personal finances. It was crazy. And like I said, I never in a million years pictured being able to experience the type of wedding that I experienced and to live the life that I'm living now. So sometimes my human self is gets overwhelmed and starts to overthink things and starts to think oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z in order for this to happen. And if this doesn't happen, then I'm failing or my whole business is going to crash and burn. Okay. And that's not the ultimate truth, right? That's just sometimes a thing that we experienced. So that's what was happening during my wedding month. Luckily, the day of, I completely like, put everything to the side and like was fine. But working like up to the wedding, I had to really focus on a specific ingredient to help me through the fact that like my business wasn't going to crash and burn just because I take a month off for my wedding and my honeymoon. Um, or like a month and a half off. But anyways, the reflection here was where I was making something mean something, or I was making it about me when it isn't about me, is that I was making it about the like amount of money that I was making instead of making it about the people that I'm helping and also the people that I've helped in the past, right? So I was getting so focused on like the amount of money that was coming in because of the amount of money that had to go out and like wanting to make X amount in order to feel like I was good, right? In order to feel like I was successful, in order to feel insert feeling. So that is making it all about me and making it feel like I need people to buy my course, mentorship, so on and so forth, in order for me to feel like I'm going to make it, like I'm successful. And what happens is like when we have that written in our creator field, it hands out a script that I don't care about other people, that I don't care about my clients, that I only care about like them, like what they can give me. It comes, all it writes in my creator field is me, me, me. So the problem with this is that the audience doesn't feel like they like I genuinely care, and instead they're only feeling like I care about the money that I'm making. And I'm happy that I caught this when I did and was able to work on this because that's the fucking furthest thing from the truth. Like, I care so much about my clients. I care so much about their results. I care so much about the content that I put inside of my courses to make sure that I always go above and beyond and over deliver in everything that I do. So, this was just like a good thing for me to catch when I did, because had I not and had it stayed written in my career field that like, I don't care about you, that would have been bad for my business, right? And because it's just not the ultimate truth. So what we want to feel, and also when you're feeling like you need something external of you to feel X, Y, or Z feeling, then you are going to push it out, like push what you actually want out because of the law of opposing forces, which is basically like anything that you put on a pedestal, anything that you have this high desire, this high like want for. And wanting, like a human want, is like feeling like you don't have something. It's a very like lack and scarcity mindset. It's just going to push the thing. It's making you way less magnetic. It's the opposite of magnetism, is when you're like super needy for this specific thing, this specific outcome, insert X, Y, or Z. So I had to get really clear on where in my business and where in my life I was doing that. And then I had to shift it and I had to bring myself back down and get rooted to the fact that like it's not about anything external of me. It's about the work that I'm doing, the people that I'm helping, and how I'm the secret ingredient for what my clients need, and that I'm the best of the best, and that my work is unique and special. And like that's what creates the transformation, not it's not about like the money that I have in my bank account, right? Just coming back to my unique and specialness simply for being me, as opposed to connecting my worth again to the amount of money that I had either coming in or going out or whatever that may be. So that was like a huge thing that I had to work through. That was so much fun. So much fun in my era. And I didn't get through all of this until like I didn't even dissect that reflection until like the week after my wedding and the in between before the honeymoon. So yeah, working on shifting that, like during the honeymoon and like after the honeymoon, was definitely something that was a priority for me. Okay. I have a call that I have to hop on to. So I'm going to talk about the honeymoon reflection maybe in the next podcast episode. Let me know if you want to know what it was, if you're interested, if you liked today's episode and you want more episodes where I'm like kind of debunking my own reflections that I experience in my own life. Let me know if you like this kind of flow. And if so, I'll make sure that I add these into the rotation so you guys can hear all about my reflection sagas and what I'm doing to shift them and heal from them. Okay. I love you. I'm so grateful that you're here. And if you like this episode, make sure you share it with a friend. And I will chat with you guys soon. Okay. Bye. If you love this episode, make sure you follow Intuitive Flow so you don't miss the next conversation. And if you're loving the show, leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps more women find this podcast and finally break the cycles they've been feeling stuck in. You can find me on Instagram or TikTok at MichaelaWallet_. And if you're ready to go deeper into rebuilding your self-trust, raising your standards, and cleaning up your energetic hygiene, check the show notes for ways to work with me below. And remember, the life you want is not out of reach. You just need to become the woman who can hold it. Until next time, keep flowing.